All right, just to give a quick overview of what we have here. Morningstar MC3, 4 Chase Bliss pedals, numbered 1 through 4, and that's also the MIDI channel, and it's also going to be which input I'm going into on the MC3. So that's going to matter at some point. There. This camera over here on the side, you're going to have this data display at all times. So when I send something out of the MIDI controller, it tells you, oh yeah, program change on channel 2, and it's program change number 6. And when I send CC, let's see if I have that. Okay, so this is a CC message. It's on channel 4. It's CC31 with a value of 1. And this one will be 30, I believe. Yeah, because these are the two modifiers on Blooper. So you'll be able to see what the MC3 is sending at any given time. So I've already assigned these pedals to the respective MIDI channels. If you don't know how to do that, I have videos on that, or I can walk you through it. The first thing we need to do on the MC3 is make sure that the dip switches internally are properly set up. I have a little page here on that. If you're, I don't know if you've opened up yours yet, but there are 6 dip switches. The 3 on the left are for port 3. And the 3 on the right are for port 4. If you're setting up for Strymon, Boss, Jackson, etc., you want them to be up, down, up on each side. And for Chase Bliss, you want just the opposite. So you want down, up, down. And what this configuration does is it sends MIDI on the ring, on the tip, with power on the ring. For Chase Bliss, we don't want the power on the ring, so that one goes down. MIDI is on the ring, and it's off on the tip. By default, since this is the MIDI standard, your pedal comes like this. So if you haven't gone inside, that's the first thing we need to do. Anytime you open a pedal, it's a good idea to take the power off in case you accidentally short something. So I'll do that. So there's 4 screws on the back of this thing. Just pull that off and set it aside. Most people are kind of, apprehensive about taking the back off your pedal. I say just go for it. So let me take this MIDI off real quick. So here are the 2 banks of dip switches. This is for, again, outputs 3 and 4. 1 and 2 are hardwired in this configuration, so I'm going to have to show you a way to work around that with cabling. But for our purpose, we're going to do 3 and 4, and then we'll address 1 and 2 in just a second. So I already have my 4th one set up with down, up, down. So I'm going to do the same on this one. Just take something, I have something metal, which I actually don't recommend, but like a pencil tip or something is better. Metal, you just run the risk of shorting it out. All right, so here we are. This is what it will look like when you have it set up properly and when my focus works properly. There we go. So if you look close, you can see come on. Down, up, down, and down, up, down. Port 3, port 4. There's also a little reminder here, like what all this means, but it's not super intuitive if you don't know how MIDI works, so better just go with what I told you. So we now have those two ports configured properly. We can put the back on. So I'm going to go ahead and put these ports in. I put 3 into port 3 and 4 into port 4. You don't have to do that. The MIDI channels don't have to line up with the ports. I'm just doing that for the purpose of this demonstration. It makes it easier to keep everything in line. Now, here's a goofy thing that is not ideal. I have this USB connected to my computer so that we can hear that. As soon as you plug something in, you're going to get MIDI noise if this is connected to a computer. So for now, I'm just going to go ahead and unplug this. When we get to the point where we're going to do some programming on the computer, then I'll have to bring that in. But for now, I'm going to unplug that. So for ports 1 and 2, since they cannot be configured, it's also the same way that Disaster Area used to do their multi-jack port. And what that was it sends MIDI on the tip of the jack. So they made this cable called the multi-jack for Chase Bliss cable. And you'll notice it's tip sleeve on one end and TRS on the other end. The end that goes into a Chase Bliss pedal always, always, always has to be TRS, no matter what, because we receive MIDI on the ring. If we don't have that ring, game's over. The other side can really be anything. So since this is sending MIDI on the tip, we're going to use this cable, but it's also 1/4 inch. We need an 1/8 inch. You could use a variety of things to get it down like that. You could use, you're probably familiar with like headphone adapters that are stereo, TRS. Could use that. You could use a standard tip sleeve one. I found these adapters on Amazon that are pretty handy. It's TRS 1/8 inch on one end and then just like a female adapter on the other end. So I'm going to be using those. We put this whole thing together. It's a mess, but this is what it looks like. TRS 1/4 inch on one end and TRS 1/8 inch on the other end with a bunch of jumbly in the middle. This can be, again, TS or TRS. Doesn't matter, but I'm going to use TRS. Wow, what a mess. All right, sorry about all this mess. Oh, and I also have a cold, so I get this extra deep radio voice. Okay, so everything's connected. It should be working properly. Let's test this out. I have MIDI channel 2 on my MIDI controller here. Let me see if I can turn this and get a little better contrast. So the center LED on this warp vinyl, there we go. if you wanted that actually in focus. There we go. Okay, so that's at least working on the second one. Now I'm going to attach MIDI, but I'm going to detach my output. We don't need sound right now anyway. So let me do a screen recording over here. So all right, so here's the one I was just pressing. It's MIDI channel 2. Let's change that. Let's try all MIDI channels. That's how we're going to verify that everything's working. So I'm going to save this as MIDI channel 1. And now when I press this, this guy should be going, and it is. So we're good here. Now we're going to change that to MIDI channel 3. Save it. And now we're going to try. So that's looking good. And now we're going to change that to MIDI channel 4. All this is doing is sending a program change on whichever MIDI channel I've decided. And that's that guy is working just fine. Okay. So MIDI is working all the way across the whole thing. Here's another thing we could do. Change this to 1. And let's, I'm just kind of picking a program change at random. Channel 2. This is how you do multiple pedals, by the way. You asked about that. I have a list of all the things you asked for, and it's number 3. I like to call it scenes. So it's presets when you're talking about one pedal. If you're talking about a group of pedal, we often refer to that as a scene. So I'm just going, you could send up to 16 messages, so we only need 4. Again, picking a program change at random, but I'm incrementally selecting the MIDI channels. Press program change 5, MIDI channel 4. So we have program change 5 on MIDI channel 1, 2, 3, and 4. So essentially what that's going to do is it's just going to recall preset 5 on all 4 pedals at the same time when I press this switch. So let me put all these in live mode, which turns that center LED off, because what we want is that center LED to come on when I press. So here we go. Boom. All of them just went on. And if I keep pressing, they're going to go from green to red. And some people think like green means a even number and red means an odd number and vice versa, but it doesn't mean anything. It just means the pedal received a program change because it's receiving a 5 each time I press this. So obviously that wouldn't have anything to do with odds and evens. So it's just telling us that it receives a program change. That's all. And then here, this is getting kind of confused because it's receiving so many messages at once. So we can kind of just ignore that for now. So the first thing on your list is demo of 6 presets for one bank. So I'm assuming you mean on one pedal. So what we're going to do is go to an empty bank. So the way to cycle between the 2 pages of the bank is to press the 2 bottom foot switches. I had to kind of test that out because I actually don't use this controller all the time. All this stuff I get, I usually just use it in testing. And I usually test with the MC8. Just have all my stuff kind of programmed into that guy. All right, so we want 6 presets. Let's just talk about the first. Let's just go like 1 through 6 on a tonal recall. So over here on our editor, I'm going to first, on the MIDI controller, press A, and you see how it says preset A right here. So you give it a name. We can just say 1. And it's going to be a press, program change, preset number 1, MIDI channel 4. If you have a bunch of pedals on a board, I do this a lot. I don't do it like right on the top of the pedal, but I kind of do it on the side. Just make a note of which pedal is on which channel. I'm talking about boards that might have like 10 pedals, like 10 MIDI pedals. It helps a lot. And I like to use a piece of tape or Velcro or something that you can peel off, because if you're moving stuff around, you don't want to like write it on the pedal. All right, so first one, program change 1. It's going to recall the first preset, and this is MIDI channel 4. And that's it for this one. We're going to save that. It's now going to say number 1 right here. And now we're just going to go right on down the line. You might think of this as like 1, 2, 3. Some might think of this as 1, 2, 3. I like to go left to right, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. Set it up any way you like it. I can see that they think of this as A, B, C. I'm not sure that I necessarily follow that. So we're doing C now, and I'm going to call that 2. Press, program change, number 2, MIDI channel 4. Save the preset. Next one, same thing. 3, press, program change, number 3, MIDI channel 4. Don't forget to save. And now we're going to go to the second page, and I'm sure you're getting the idea here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Press, program change. Nice thing about this is you get a lot of repetition. That's the best way to learn. 4, 4, save. This one is 5. Press, program change, 5, MIDI channel 4, save. And a lot, we're doing a lot of work here, so sometimes I'd like to make templates of pages, especially on a larger controller like the MC8, because it can get awfully repetitive, especially if you're trying to set up a whole board. So I will make templates of things that I like in my banks, and I can't really show you that because you have to kind of decide what you like, but certainly feel free to do that. This one is 6, press, program change. You know what? Number 6, MIDI channel 4. Okay, so 6 presets on a tonal recall. Ready? Here we go. Preset 1, preset 2, preset 3. We go up to the next bank. Here's preset 4, preset 5, preset 6. I could be playing through the pedal and showing you that it's changing, but there's not really. Preset 2. Might be better with something more like this. Preset 3. Preset 4. Preset 5. Preset 6. Most of my presets, personally, I start on number 10. And I use my first 0 through 9. Well, 0 is live mode, so I use 1 through 9 as like my kind of more fluid presets that I just kind of change all the time. But my real presets start on 10, so that's why a lot of those kind of sounded the same. And then also you noticed when I changed it while the pedal was in repeats, it would change so the next preset was at a different time, so you get like this ramping up or down of the tone of the repeats. And that was literally the birth of Therme, because it's kind of simulating like twisting the time knob. So that is number 1, demo of 6 presets for one bank. Let's look at number 2, how to save these presets. So now that you have all of these saved, so obviously on a Chase Bliss pedal, you can save 2 presets by moving the toggle. But when you have a MIDI controller, you can save 122 presets. You can program these numbers for anything you want. So if we wanted to save preset 5 right now, and let's just run some sound through here. Let's say we wanted it like something really fast like this, kind of long repeats, make it kind of dark. Let's say that's what we wanted right there. And we wanted it on preset 5. So at this point, we press and hold, and I send preset 5, and watch that center LED. See how it's blinking? It blinks 3 times. So now, even if I make the knobs do something totally different, and I come back to preset 5, watch. It's that one we just saved. That dark with those repeats. So that is how to save presets with a MIDI controller. One thing you should realize is, even though on the controller we just did 1 and 2, you cannot use a MIDI controller to save presets on a Chase Bliss pedal for the first 2 presets. Those can only be done with the toggle. You can use a MIDI controller to recall those, but you cannot use one to save them. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. All right, moving along. A bank of presets that are a combo of all 4 pedals. That's kind of what we did at the beginning. But let me, so I have to unplug audio for this. It kind of makes sense to have audio playing and like get a preset set up, but it doesn't really that doesn't really matter. I have to unplug this because we're going to plug this in and it's going to drive us crazy. So now we're going to connect the MC3. All right, so let's just say that, so we just set up the tonal recall with a preset we like. Let's say that we also did the same thing on Gen Loss, Warp Vinyl, and Dark World. And let's say that just for like trying to use the same numbers and everything, let's just say that we liked preset 4, preset 3, preset 2, and preset 1. And that was our scene, just like we talked about here, calling these scenes. Let's say that was our scene. I like to keep my MIDI messages in order of MIDI channels, but you don't have to do that, but I'm going to show it that way. So let's go now to an empty bank. So let's say for this scene, we wanted to call this like intro. Let's say this was a sound using all 4 of these pedals that we liked for the intro of a song for our gig tonight or tomorrow night. So we're going to call this intro. Message 1 is going to be a program change. It's number 4, remember? Preset 4, MIDI channel 4. I hope that's not confusing. The preset doesn't have to match the MIDI channel. It's just they're going to match because we're using these numbers like this. So preset 4 on Tonal Recall. I know I just saved it as preset 5, but I'm trying to follow these numbers for this part of the demo. The next one will be Oh, and I totally went backwards from what I was just saying. I do like to follow my path. So it is MIDI channel 1. It was number 1 on Dark World, sorry. So now we're going to go to Warp Vinyl Hi-Fi. That's a program change. We like preset number 2. It's MIDI channel 2. Now for the gen loss, on that one, for this particular intro, we liked preset 3. That pedal is MIDI channel 3. And finally, with our tonal recall, we liked preset 4. And that was MIDI channel 4. We're going to save that. All right, I thought I was saving that on A, but I was still on the other bank page, so it saved as F. You can see over here. But we can, let's just say we did that on accident. We can copy, and then I'm going to go to A. Try to keep an eye on what you have going on up in this corner just to make sure you're on the right page. I did not do that. So we're going to paste that here, save the preset. Now we have that intro where we wanted it. So again, let's put every pedal in live mode. And we hit that intro. Every single one of them receives the preset. Now all of your pedals would be on. If you wanted to turn them on remotely, you have to also send with these messages, you have to send the CC number for bypass and engage. I'm just going to show you on Tonal Recall. So that would be, I don't want to do it for all pedals. I don't want to make this video like super long. So for just, you would repeat this for all pedals, but let's just do Tonal Recall. So that's going to be a CC, control change. PCs have 2 things you need to consider. I know there's a thing here, but just ignore that. Program changes have 2 values, the program change number and the MIDI channel number. Control changes have 3. They have a CC number, just like this has a PC number, but also has a CC value. So it's, I think it's 102. If I'm wrong, I'll have to look it up. But I've just about got these memorized. 0 is off and 127 is on. That's MIDI channel 4. So if I've done this correctly, then pressing this intro will not only change the center LED, but it will also turn this guy on. There we go. There we go. There we go. So that's how you turn a pedal on with the preset. And you could do that for all 4 pedals. Just follow what I've done here. You would do the same thing, but obviously change the MIDI channel. With pedals like Dark World, you'll notice that when Dark World comes on, see how it actually engages? That's because we have single channel pedals, which these are single channel, and we have dual channel pedals. So Dark World has this channel and this channel, the dark channel and the world channel. I think generation loss also works that way. No, it doesn't. This is a single channel pedal. Brothers is a dual channel. So that is scenes. Change wet signal on Therme from 50% to 100%. I'm going to show you on Tonal Recall. My Thermes are in the middle of a testing procedure right now, and I can't use them right now. So for this, we're going to need audio, of course. So let me get this set up with the computer side of things, and then we'll plug that cable back in, otherwise we're going to get just crazy weird noise. So let's go to an empty bank, and we're going to use 2 toggles. This will be the 50% value, and this will be the 100% value. So I also have memorized, you can look it up online by going to our website, and then there's a manuals, Tonal Recall MIDI manual. You can look up that mix is 15. But I was going to say how I've memorized this is every channel starts, or every pedal starts with 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. The toggles are 21, 22, and 23 because we wanted it 1, 2, 3. So that's just a quick overview of that part of the pedal. So you could go 14, 15, which is mix. And then when you're talking about mix, and you think about a knob, right? And when you turn a knob all the way down, it's kind of in this position, right? So I'm going to continue that line out. When you turn a knob all the way up, it's like in this position. So we have, this is the sweep of the knob, all the way from here to here. All the way down, or you could call it a 7, if you were thinking of this as a clock. The clock would be 6, 5, this is a 7. That value is 0. All the way up is 127. So like noon would be about 64. Right? Is that even accurate? That's what I always think of it as. I don't know if I ever did the math. 63 and a half. Okay, I probably did the math at one point. And I have a chart actually that I could send you, but it's just kind of important for this purpose right now to think of this as 0, 64, and 127. 64 is just the halfway point. So when we go to program this, now we're going to plug all those numbers in that we just realized there. And we're going to call this, just go mix 50. That's going to be a press. That is a control change. The number was 14, 15. CC number 15. Now here's where that value comes in. That's that number we just were discussing. So 50% would be 64. Wouldn't it be nice if it was just 0 to 100 and then each number would just be a percent? But no. So 64, 63 and a half, but you won't find 63 and a half on this list. So you got to round up. MIDI channel, that's MIDI channel 4. And we're going to save it. And now it says mix 50. And now we're going to do mix 100. That is a press, control change, same thing, 15, CC value, all the way up is 127, MIDI channel 4. So now, my controller, it's kind of hard to see, especially when the camera doesn't focus. Mix 50, mix 100. Now nothing lights up on the pedal to like let you know that that's working. or not. I'm going to pull out that USB so now I can bring in audio. All right, so I'm going to send some audio into this. Get it where we can hear it. So mix is already at 50. Let me just get this to where it... I want us to be able to hear these repeats so we can hear the change. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take mix and bring it down to 0. So we're just going to hear that dry now. So now we go to mix 50. We're hearing half dry, half wet. And now we go to mix 100. That was funny. I thought I was hearing the mix, but that's actually the first repeat. I don't know how else to display this. I guess I could take a guitar. See? You're not hearing it when I pluck the string. That was super weird. That really threw me. So let's go back to the pedal. Mix 50. Mix 100. That was really weird. That really kind of threw me for a loop. So, the battery on the iPad is about to die. Just in the nick of time. All right, the other camera has also died. I think the battery expired. Hope I have any of the video on that. Let's do tap tempo. We're going to do it on Tonal Recall, of course. I'm going to go to another empty bank. Here we are, empty.
What happened? I don't know.
The NBC television schedule is brought to you especially recorded for rebroadcast in this time zone on KNBC Channel 4.
All right, home stretch. Sorry about that. My camera, the battery died right at the home stretch. I tried to connect a power cable to get it up and running, but it didn't happen in time. So, I'm not sure if the part about programming it recorded or not, so let's have a look at that. So we have tap, press, MIDI clock. We want tap menu, yes. I have a start BPM of 120. And I want it to go up in whole numbers. So we save that. It's on preset C. Now for that, when I press it, see how nothing's popping up? There should be like a whole window of stuff that's going on here. But nothing's showing up on this window. And I find that that part of it only works if I've been in the editing mode when I do a power cycle. So now that I've done it, when I press tap, see this whole thing pops up now? So it starts off in 120, and when I press start, now we're at 120 over here. And there are two windows. Okay, we're in focus here. I can see it. So tap gets us to this 120. We can start that. Now we can tap. See how we're going faster over here now? And then I can tap something slow. That slows down. Now this second page is really fun. See how we're at BPM 74? I can literally just dial in an exact tempo, which is really cool. This was really handy for me in my last band where I was using backing tracks, and I knew with a pre-recorded song exactly what the tempo was, and I had it on my set list right next to each song, and I could just kind of like, I had a funky delay I was using at the time, and where I could dial in an exact number. So let's say we wanted 100. That's 100 BPM right there. If you wanted 150, that's 150. I'm going to get back out of this. I'm going to exit. That's still at 150. 120, start. I can't tell. Is that 120? Yeah. Anyway, now I'm just wasting your time. But that's how you set up tap tempo on the MC3. And also that means we're done. Happy to help out. If I missed anything in this video, hit me back and I'll be sure to help you out. Thanks again. Appreciate it.
This concludes another broadcast.